All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of the Black Spartan Talk Show. Once again, it's me, Armani, the program coordinator of the center. I'm glad to be here, kicking off a few of our final sessions together, at least so far scheduled. But we have a couple of updates. I will share them in the commercial break session that we have towards the middle of the show. But other than that, I would like to go ahead and introduce some of my fellow campus partners who lead a lot of different social justice efforts and work on campus. I have a couple alumni here. I have a couple folks that have joined us from other campuses that are here making a difference on our campus. So I have Elisa Aquino, who's from the Cesar Chavez Community Action Center. I have Ana Navarrete, who's in the Untitled Spartan Resource Center, Jenny Nguyen from the Gender Equity Center, and Sharon Singh from the Mosaic Cross-Cultural Center. So without further ado, I would like to bring on my guests joining me here today. Kind of a long clap, but thank you for coming. Welcome, welcome. All right, so please introduce yourselves. If there's anything else you would like to mention on behalf of your role, on behalf of yourself, whoever would like to go first, please go ahead and go.
I don't mind. Maybe we can do alphabetical order by our centers. Well, hi everyone. My name is Elisa Aquino. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm the program coordinator at the Chicanx Latinx Student Success Center. I've now been in this role for 2 years, I think now. And it's something that I would like to say about just being at San Jose State. It's been a really positive experience just working with the community that I work with and having students that are so inspiring just to, work with on a daily basis. I learn a lot from them. And, so being in this position, I feel really privileged to just, work with really amazing students. Yeah, other than that, I'm originally from the LA area, and and I've been in the Bay Area for a long time, so I feel like I'm part of the Bay now. I will popcorn. Who's next? ABC. Okay, Jenny.
All right, so hi everybody. My name is Jenny. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm the educational programmer for the Gender Equity Center. A little bit about, what we do. No, my role. Sorry. So I help my students basically in our center create educational programs, very focused on gender-based issues. And I'm an alumni of San Jose State. So I graduated back in fall 2015, so a hot second ago. And I'm currently in the Master's in Public Health program, also at San Jose State. And kind of like some of my colleagues here, I love the work that I do simply because I'm very invested in the community. Like, it gave me so much when I was an undergraduate student, first generation, navigating so much on my own, finding my own voice, becoming my own person, which is part of that educational experience when you do go to college. And so much of that was rewarded to me. And so I wanted to come back into this role to, give back to my community. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sharon Singh, pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm the program coordinator for the Mosaic Cross-Cultural Center. I'm also alumni, and my role is really working with our student staff, our student org leaders. We provide a lot of programs and events throughout the year. And I feel like, I've been in my role for entering my 4th year now. And a lot of the programs that we do are very art-based, dialogue-based, fusing the way that artistic expression can really, lend itself into raising awareness, into political work, into community-oriented work. So those are some things that I do in my role with students on our campus, but also we have a lot of events that are open to the SJSU and Bay Area communities as well. So I end up working with a lot of different folks on and off campus, and these lovely folks on this uh, show as well.
For sharing that, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Ana Navarrete. I am the program director for the Spartan Student Resource Center. We are the resource on campus that provides support to students who are undocumented and also for mixed status families. So that's what we mean by Spartan. I've been on campus for 4.5 years now. I actually started as an academic advisor at San Jose State. I am an advisor by training. Although my heart has always been in working with first generation immigrant students, and a lot of it has to do with my own upbringing. I grew up in East San Jose as a kid, but I ended up moving to Stockton, where I grew up. I went to high school, I went to community college. So I was a transfer student myself. So I transferred from San Joaquin Delta College to UC Santa Cruz. One of the reasons that I'm still doing this type of work, because I really started when I was in college, in community college. It was really more for self-advocacy because at that time, me as an undocumented person, and especially in the I graduated from high school in 2007. So during that time, especially in the Central Valley, there was absolutely no resources or even a conversation about how to support undocumented students. And so it was really more of a need for me to create resources and organize and learn from other people. And then when I transferred to UC Santa Cruz, that's where I had the opportunity to then engage more closely with the university in doing this type of work and trying to institutionalize resources for students. So my love for this work has, been there since day one, since, it really started off as a, self-advocacy piece, but then I'm realizing how much of a bigger issue and just connecting with other people really inspired me to continue doing this work. And at San Jose State, one of the things I really love about this community is, one, the outside community outside of San Jose State is just incredible. The advocacy that is being carried out here in San Jose, in the Bay Area, is just incredible. And I think that was something I don't think I really experienced as much in Santa Cruz, just because of how small it was. Or maybe I was just so detached, but I think here at San Jose State is very well integrated in the work that we all do. And I think we all have some sort of connection to that community. And of course, the people at San Jose State, I think you can definitely find people who are just go out of their way above and beyond for students. And so it's really inspiring to be able to work with those folks and be able to create something new, which I know like many of us have been doing this work for a while, but at San Jose State, we have a lot of firsts. So yeah, that's what I do. By the way, sorry, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Cool. Thank you so much for all of you introducing yourselves. I don't know if I've ever said my pronouns on the show. My name is Armani, she, her pronouns. But yeah, glad that we were all able to share that. So something I usually like to do to kick off the show is to ask people what's been your secret sauce for a great day or a pretty successful weekend during quarantine. As we know, every day just about feels the same. Every month, every week, this whole experience almost feels like we're still living in March. So what has been your secret sauce to help keep things fresh, still keep yourself in a nice groove that doesn't feel like you're having to repeat yourself? So I guess at this question, I'll go ahead and start going the other way with Anna.
Money. When shelter in place first happened, I actually experienced COVID symptoms for about 3 weeks. So having a routine was really difficult when you have to self-quarantine, and especially not knowing at what point are you going to reach the peak of your symptoms, right? And what is that going to look like for me? And so after I self-quarantine and just being home, one of the things I started doing is like sometimes I would just go off to Santa Cruz, go to the beach late, once this, sun is coming down, and go out for a walk with my dog. My dog has been keeping me sane. I don't know what I would have done without him. But yeah, I think going out for walks, going out to the beach near water. I liked going to Los Gatos Creek all the time, take my dog out for a walk and just being near the water. It's very healing and it's just very liberating for me. So that's what I do.
Yeah, very similar to Anna, where I just got a dog as well. It's we're entering our second month with him. Time is going by so fast. Um, and yeah, I think going for a walk definitely, when the fires were happening and impacting our air quality, it was a struggle. And it was definitely taking a toll on like my mental health. Um, but I've realized that food, I love food. I think people who know me know I love food. And one of the ways that I've been dealing is, especially because I can't eat my family's food. So I've been cooking a lot of dishes for the first time, or really, having conversations with loved ones and being like, how do you make this? How do you make this? Right? Tell me your tips and tricks. And so I've been kind of going through like family recipes, or taking mishmashes of different recipes from things that I've from travels, and making my own recipes. And so that's been helping me kind of work different parts of my brain and kind of get outside of just feeling like every day is different. So yeah, cooking something new, or talking with folks about food.
For me, echoing what everyone is saying here, but also my secret sauce starts the night before, marinade, and sleep. So basically, get your sleep. For me, again, older y'all, like all-nighters don't exist for me. I will not function the next day. Anything under 7 hours really is not going to cut it. So a good night's rest for me, I know it sounds very easy and very simple, but that has made the biggest deal. As well as, getting started early. So with quarantine, something that I haven't been able to do really even before that was run. That's something that's much, much newer for me, and I love it. I get why people go outside early in the morning. One of my favorite things is really running past one of the parks in my area, and when it's really crisp cold at 5 in the morning, and you're the first to breathe in this really fresh air, and it's cool, and just the little layer of fog that sits right on top of all of that grass, like I live for it. So I can imagine myself as, in my old age with my little walker and my dog just strolling at 5 a.m. Like that's me now and me then, I imagine. So exercise, I definitely echo what y'all are saying. Going for walks, going for a run, being outdoors is something I don't ever want to take for granted. And what Sharon is saying, cooking is something that also I feel like I'm cooking with way more intention. I'm eating with more intention. I started eating more plant-based meals, and I feel like I can really invest that time in cooking something good and healthy. And I found new vegetables that I like. So I'm growing up. It's a big deal. But that's my secret sauce.
I can definitely relate to a lot of what y'all were already saying. For me, I also do like exercising is something that keeps me, just happy, and keeps me like, it makes me feel really like pumped after like working out. So for me, I go to a boxing class every few weeks. I mean, every few days a week, and that really keeps me, busy. But also, I like going to that class because I have like, friends there, and everyone's so nice and welcoming. And at the same time, I get a good workout in. And since, working at home now, I don't see as many people as I would on a daily basis. At our centers, we typically have students coming in and out, and you get to meet a lot of students. I definitely miss that aspect of my job. So going to my boxing class has helped. And also, I've also been trying to, eat more plant-based as well. Not fully letting go of, my meats or specifically seafood, but I've been trying to, be more conscious of what I eat. And I've been feeling really tired these last few weeks, and I've had a minor health issue. But I think just being more aware of what I'm eating and intaking is really important. And I also really love my sleep. So on weekends, I try to sleep in a little and just get a good night rest.
Love it. Thank you everyone for sharing. Yeah, Jenny, I'm so glad you mentioned sleep. I forgot, like, when I was really on a consistent sleep routine, I felt so good. And now that I'm off, I'm wondering why I don't feel great like anymore. So I'm gonna really work towards getting back to that. I think I needed to hear that. So thank you everyone for sharing that. So now getting into our first set of questions. What are some services your department has been known to offer? Are there any common misconceptions about your department as well? Sharing as openly as you would like. We'll go ahead and kick it off with Elisa first.
All right. So again, I work at the Chicanx Latinx Student Success Center, and our center has various services and programs. We have peer mentoring that goes on through our center, and our student success leaders, who are our student staff who lead the centro, they partake in peer mentoring, so they're available for individual hours to meet with students to talk about academics, personal life, or just want to talk to someone. They're there for that to support students. We also have career center services like many of your centers do. We have a liaison. Her name is Sandra de Leon, who comes in once a week, and she does drop-in hours on Zoom. So the neat thing about that is that you don't actually have to register beforehand to attend these office hours. You just go in. If you have any questions, if you ever do need more time than the 20 minutes that she allots for every student, you can book an appointment with her afterwards to extend your conversation, and she can help you with things like resume building, or maybe you're an undecided major and you want to figure out what you want to do next with your major. So that could be something that she can help with. And we also have our CAPS liaison. We also call her La Comadre del Centro, or Celinda Miranda. And Celinda, like Sandra, she also does drop-in hours at Centro on Zoom. And so again, you don't have to register beforehand, or, make an appointment beforehand to go. You just come to the Zoom meeting, and, there is a waiting room. So in case there is a student already meeting with Celinda, you'll be put into a waiting room, but she'll let you in once, she's ready to meet with you. And we also have academic advisors from all of the success centers, with exception of the College of Science, who do office hours on Zoom through Centro as well. And so, it's really important, I think, to go to, your advisors specifically, to ensure that you're taking the right courses, to get your questions answered. The registration is coming up for next semester. So, booking those appointments early on is really beneficial, so that you can get your questions answered before, everyone's asking the same questions around the same time. So that's why they're there, really to support students and answer any questions that they might have. And we also have different professors within different fields who host office hours at Centro. So, the neat thing about it is that you get to interact with a professor who might not be in the same discipline as you, but you'll notice from that interaction that there's a lot of really cool people that you might meet, or you might learn something new from meeting with them. And regardless, they're there because they want to talk to students, support students who just want to talk to someone. And to answer the second question about the misconception of our center, so we often get confused as a club or a student organization. So we are a department on campus, meaning that any student can join our center. There is no registration required, so you don't have to submit an application. You can just come in to any of the events that we host or any of the services, all to your discretion. So if you see multiple events you really want to go to, you can just go to them without signing up to be part of our center. And another misconceptions, I think oftentimes we get very sometimes we have students looking for the Indaki Spartan Resource Center and don't realize that there's two centers. We have the Indaki Spartan Resource Center, and we also have the Chicanx Latinx Student Success Center. And so we work very collaboratively. So, I do definitely reach out to Anna when we do have students reaching out to us to get support. But you'll hear from Anna more, what the Indaki Spartan Resource Center does and how our services might be a little different depending on what you're looking for. So that would be my responses to those two questions. And I will popcorn Jenny next.
All right, so thank you. So a little bit about the Gender Equity Center. I'll talk to some of the services that we would offer heavily when we were in person. So some of those in-person things that we offer is a drop-in social space. It's a safe place for students to hang out, transitioning between classes, do your homework. We had these cute little purple couches where people would have their lunch or sit and talk and be in community, so people can just drop in. It also serves as a meeting space. So sometimes we meet with our students, or student clubs will have their meetings in our space. We also offered things like free condoms, free menstrual products. Menstrual equity is a huge thing that a lot of our students will face, particularly if it's a surprise period and folks needed resources, because they're not free and they should be. But that's a whole thing. We also offer a lactation room. I believe it's one of 3 really formal lactation spaces on campus for students that need to breastfeed. We also offer a lending library. So if students were looking for a space to check out books on gender and sexuality outside of the library, of course, sometimes we'd have students that just come by, check out what we have, and sit in our social drop-in space and just read a book, and then connect with us that way. Some of the virtual offerings that we have right now are office hours, so students can still drop in to either speak to our student staff or myself. We're still trying our best, like everybody else, trying to build community, trying to let students know that we're still accessible, we're still here, and we still want to serve you in the best way that we can. Although, things are different and things look different, we're doing our best to build intention around that and make sure that we're creating those spaces for folks to drop in and connect with us. We also offer, connections to on and off campus resources, especially resources relating to gender-based issues. Particularly, sometimes our students will drop in to ask, my friend is, dealing with this issue where it could be, for example, intimate partner domestic violence, and they want to connect their friend to resources, unsure how to help that friend. Sometimes it's actually for themselves. And so we can connect our students to off and on and on campus resources. We also do a lot of educational programs. So if you've ever seen our center or see it in the future, it's a really small center. And the reason being so small is really because we're forward facing. We go into the community, we create those educational programs. And so we educate the community on different gender-based issues. And so some of the things that we build education around, for example, October is Intimate Partner Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so we have a calendar of events around how to build awareness, how to get students connected to resources, and how to continue to learn more and also be supportive of their peers, their family. Right now with COVID and sheltering in place, sometimes home isn't safe for everybody. And also cases and rates of domestic violence have actually increased. And so I know it's a difficult topic and a very sensitive one, but we're definitely here to support our students in different ways. Other months that we do awareness around: Sexual Assault Awareness Month in April, Women's History is in March. We also support our student clubs. So SGSU V-Day, they do the vagina monologues. If you've never heard of that, you should definitely check them out. Sharon actually was a part of the vagina monologues and helped students organize around building awareness on gender-based violence. So it's a really important play that our students put on every year. And so we get connected to a lot of our students. A huge misconception oftentimes is that we only serve women. But we explicitly changed our name to Gender Equity to be more inclusive of people of all genders. Actually, when I was an undergrad, the center used to be called the Women's Resource Center. And some folks were like, well, what about men? What about non-binary people? What about, right, all the different genders? And we're like, you're right. So we changed our name with the hopes to be more inclusive of people of all genders. So I hope that it kind of clears some of the misconception that we do cater to men, we do cater to non-binary, gender non-conforming folks as well. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to Sharon.
Yeah, it's taking me a second to remember all the things we used to do, like as a collective and like individual spaces. So as you're all talking, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm remembering now. But Mosaic Cross Cultural Center, I think, is a space, right? It's where students are. We have tables, we have couches, we have areas where students can sit, hang out, eat. More often than not, students are just taking a nap on the couch, or inside the cultural programmers, our student staff couch area as well. We have a conference room that a lot of student orgs use, along with the center space. We work with students, we work with different departments, community organizations to hold events in there, and you can actually reserve that space when prior to COVID. The other thing that we offer, we're the only space that has a meditation prayer space that has a washing station. So it's very popular with our students who practice Islam. So, that is something that we as a center are working with our Muslim student organization and other student orgs to create more spaces to have prayer and meditation be part of our campus, because that is a big part of a person's identity. We also offer a 3-day, 2-night leadership retreat. We're going to have a virtual one in the spring. We're still working on it, but that is going to come out. And it's been one of the retreats that I feel like really it's open to anybody. It's open to grad students, and it's an opportunity to really think about how your educational, personal, and career goals can be, set in a way that goes beyond just the individual. You're thinking more about the community. So we spend some time talking about, who you are, why you do what you do, and what you want to do, and then how does that really work with the collective. So look out for that. We also have open mic nights every first Thursday-ish of the month. And we actually have one coming up on October 8th. We're going into our 3rd year of a podcast that was actually created by one of our faculty fellows and students. And so that podcast is still running, and students, anybody, it doesn't have to be just our student staff. We work with you on how to facilitate dialogue, how to, interview, or just spread awareness, right? And so that is still going on. We're also, like I mentioned in the beginning, right, we do a lot of art projects and events around dialogue, and tying a lot of that together. We support a lot of student orgs through funding as well. And then we have a lot of heritage months that we collaborate with our campus partners on. So right now we are in Latinx Heritage Month. So we have, you know, various things coming out like the October 8th open mic, which is going to be, you know, have featured artists, but also student performers part of it too. And then when we were pre-COVID times, a lot of folks would come in for tea, coffee, water, and a chat. I feel like that was something that we were known for. And, you know, we're trying to create that in a virtual space through a video podcast that's going to come out soon, probably this week. And anyone can be on that podcast. So if you are interested, it's part of our, if you're interested in volunteering, you can be part of that as a volunteer. One of the misconceptions, I think, similar to what the Chicanx, Latinx, you know, folks kind of go through, and kind of all of us, I feel like that people think that we're a club, and that you have to register or sign up to come to our events or use the space. Not true. Just come hang out with us. Use the space. And then I think, you know, oftentimes people will come in and would kind of, you know, be confused as to what's going on because, you know, we kind of serve everybody. And so you'll see international students, you'll see faculty in there. We'll have, you know, CAPS counselor kind of in the corner in the office, having a few students talking to. So it's like little hubs of folks hanging out in the center. And so folks would kind of be like, what is this? But, you know, if you ever get a chance to visit, I think, you know, we are really trying to create a space where it's home away from home. And also to make sure that you know, get through this educational journey less lonely, right? We want to connect you to folks. So oftentimes, you know, my staff and I, if you walk into the center and you're like, hey, I'm looking for support around this, we'll walk you. We will literally walk with you to that space, because our campus can kind of turn us around, even though it's a giant square. So that's one of the things that we really want to ensure as a staff, that, you know, if you need a resource, if you need to get somewhere on campus, we will literally walk with you, if you want us to, obviously, not in a creeper stalker way. So yeah, that's a little bit about Mosaic.
Cool. Thank you, everyone, once again for sharing all of that. I know we all got to miss the good old days. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Anna.
No worries. Yeah, I really wanted to share a little bit about the resource centers that the Undocumented Student Resource provides. And so I want to thank Elisa for chiming in a little bit about some of the misconceptions. So maybe I can start off there. And so the Undocumented Spartan Student Resource Center, one of the big misconceptions is that, one, that all undocumented students have DACA, right? So DACA has been a very popular program since 2012. And, you know, given that in the last 4 years, immigrant communities have been under attack, there is this big spotlight on folks with DACA. And so there's a huge misconception that you have to have DACA, or that all undocumented students have DACA to receive our services. And that is just completely untrue. While all DACA holders are undocumented, not all undocumented folks are DACA holders. Our center, we really work with folks who have very complex immigration statuses. It could be that some folks have a work permit while they're still undocumented. It could be that someone is in the middle of an asylum application, but they're still undocumented or have been undocumented for several years. We'll have folks who just don't qualify for absolutely anything. And so our part of the work that we do is to support our students navigate not just higher education and navigating San Jose State, but also connecting them to resources and support them in their own personal growth. Given the fact that oftentimes when we talk about undocumented people, we think about, you know, the deficits, right? Like what people cannot do when they're undocumented. And so a lot of our students carry that mindset of, well, I'm undocumented, therefore I don't qualify for many things. So as part of our center, we provide peer support to our students. You know, we want to make sure that they are connected with someone on campus that they can trust and that they know can provide them accurate information, or at least point them to the right resources. because sometimes it might not be about us, it's about something else that they're looking for. We also have legal services available for students, staff, and faculty. And so this program came about from a statewide effort in 2018, where the state of California provided funding for the CSU, UC, and community college to provide legal support to all of its members. And so we're partnered up with Immigrant Legal Defense in Oakland, who come to our campus. Well, now with shelter in place, they're doing over the phone consultations. And they work with folks who are also trying to work with their family members. So if we have someone on our campus that has a parent, a child, a spouse, who needs immigration support or immigration advice, they can also use our services, which are completely free. The only cost that comes out of someone would be if they have to file an application and they have to pay for those immigration fees. But there are resources that we can point them to or direct them to in the case that they run into financial challenges. We also do ally trainings. Part of the work that we do is to also educate folks around, what it means to be undocumented, what are the challenges students face, and what are the things folks can do to improve the quality of life of our students, given that that the issues that we're dealing with are federal and can only be solved through policy and through law. And so our job is to work in community with our campus partners, our community partners, to be able to provide resources to our students based on their unique needs. And so we want to make sure that our community, our faculty and staff are well informed and well aware about, just the complexities of what it means to be undocumented in higher ed and what we can do to better support our students. We also work closely with the Career Center. So another big misconception is that if you're undocumented, you can't do anything with your degree, and that is absolutely not true. One of the great things about this movement, the immigrant rights movement, is that we also have a lot of people who have graduated from college, a lot of undocumented youth who have graduated from college and who have been networking with one another to educate everyone about, what are ways that, undocumented people can thrive, create their own companies, their own limited liability companies. And so there's a lot of really great work being done in the community. So we want to make sure that our students in our Career Center are talking to one another. And so our Career Center also gets all these trainings so they can be up to par with like the changes in policies and any updates around resources. Recently, we initiated our very first virtual summer academy, which we hope that once we come, go back to campus and are physically present, that we can provide a on-campus summer academy for our incoming students. And so the virtual summer academy is really meant for incoming students who are looking to form a community to uplift undocumented communities. And the students go through a week of workshops and programming where they really get to learn about who's on campus, what are the different things that they're going to have to navigate them, and really tailor them to the experience of those who are undocumented. And with the goal that they also form community, right before they start their first year at San Jose State. And so another big misconception that I really want to touch upon before we move on to the next piece is the fact that there's this big assumption, as Elisa mentioned, that undocumented people are Latinx. Right, and that is not true. On campus, we have a very diverse community of folks who are undocumented. And while we cannot access an accurate number because we don't collect that data, we know that while the vast majority population is Latinx who are undocumented on campus, there's still a significant population, Asian Pacific Islander, African, from African countries. We have Middle Eastern students. And so, the topic of immigration is a human conversation, right? And so I think it's really important for us to demystify that and, be clear that, our services and the resources that we provide are meant for everyone. And so one of the great things, even with our legal services, is that if folks need to talk to an attorney, and speak to someone with a specific language, then we can also provide translation services for folks. And so to make sure that people in communities have accessible information in their own language as well. So yeah, so that's a little bit about the work that we do in the center and how, and in terms of how people can reach out to us, email would be the best way, or giving us a phone call. You don't need to sign up. There's no need for membership for absolutely anything. We're here to provide services to our students directly, no questions asked. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us.
Perfect. Oopsie. Sorry, everybody. I hope everyone is a little more aware of what all of these spaces have to offer, and the many services and misconceptions that come along with the spaces. But I know, as I was already saying, we miss the good old days. So with this, I'll leave this as an opportunity for us to share what we have to offer within our spaces, and what's going on now, because we've all had to transition to a virtual space, and not really knowing probably still how to deal with this and how to maneuver, especially with us being on virtual Zoom University, as I've heard some students call it, for the next semester as well, and who knows how long. So how have we adjusted through this transition? And please share some of the flyers and information you have coming up as well. We'll go ahead and kick it back off with Anna.
For us, I mean, it was very simple. We knew we had to be online, right? And even if things were to change for the spring, I think for me, I'm very conscious that the community that I work with is a very sensitive community that is also under-resourced. So for us, it's the safety of our students. So we want to make sure that we are providing resources, but also maintaining social distance. And so, for example, with a resource, and let me share my screen real quick. I want to show some of the flyers that we shelter in place. We moved everything online. And so on our social media, you'll be able to see some of the things that we've been doing since and some of the things that we're still doing. And, you know, again, the legal services is a big one. We've done some collaborative work as well. We're collaborating with this as a solidarity network in creating a space for students to create zines. We did a film screening called Invisible and Untold at the beginning of the year. We've had financial aid drop-in hours, given that a lot of our students are still dealing with financial aid questions and still trying to navigate that piece. And so the first 3 weeks of school, we have financial aid advising. But we also have a really close connection with financial aid. So anytime a student has a question, we redirect them to financial aid, or we'll go ahead and connect directly with financial aid ourselves to make sure that we can provide our students with information and not have them, go from office to office, because it can be really frustrating. Other things that we've been doing through this virtual setting, we've been doing a lot of Instagram lives. Given that we work on the topic of immigration and just how crazy it is, given that there's changes almost every other week. And there's just no way we can keep up with things. And so we've been using our Instagram Live to interview some of our attorneys to talk about topics such as TPS, temporary protection status, which is the most recent change in policy or attack against immigrant communities. I don't even know if it's a recent change in policy, given that everything changes rapidly. But that is just one example of Instagram Lives that we've been doing. We've been doing others on DACA, DACA updates, legal services. And so, yeah, so with everything that's happening, we're going to continue using our social media as a way to communicate with folks. But we, like I said, we also do ally trainings. And so we've been reaching out to student orgs to do trainings for their members. And so I always welcome students to reach out to us if they're ever interested in doing one of these.
Before you stop screen sharing, can you scroll up so we can see your handle?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Of course, yeah. So check us out at Untitled Spartans through Instagram. Again, you can also just reach out to us directly via phone or via email, and we'd be happy to sit with folks one-on-one and talk about, how we can best support you.
So I can share next, and I'll share my screen really quickly. So, this is our Instagram page. It's, again, I feel like the way that we've all been connecting with everyone We do Music Mondays, which we've switched to every other Monday. It was a a passive program that we used to do over the summer, but we usually theme it around some kind of theme around social justice or emotions or feelings or mental health. So our latest one is up already. We do open mics. You can sign up to perform for the October one. So there's that. We do virtual office hours. We've been able to do different podcast series. So a Mosaic Meet series where we have folks that people may not know much about, or they may be departments or services that are a little scary, right? So we want to make sure that folks get connected. We've been doing podcasts with, for example, political podcasts where we invited Rishi Kumar, who's running for Congress, to be on our podcast, talk about politics and how students can get involved. We have, folks from CAPS come on. We've done collaborative things with Gender Equity Center, like the Studio Hours project, where we created a playlist for Music Monday. And then this is actually a collaborative art piece that was created through that project. So we're doing a lot of collaborative things this year. And obviously for next year, right, there's going to be a lot more that's, we're still trying to figure a lot of it out. And so if you want to connect with us, here's our link tree. I hope everyone can see that. Here's our link tree, and then all of our links are right there. We're also doing care packages. Let me not forget that. We're doing care packages where we're sending out a piece of art that we have our graphic designer or our social media and liaison graphic extraordinaire folks. I'm in awe of their talent all the time. But last month we're going to be we sent out stickers, and there are these limited edition stickers. And then for October, we don't know yet. They're still working on an idea. It might be a poster, it might be a really cool sticker again, it might be something else. But sign up for connecting with us. You end up being part of our newsletter, and you end up also getting some care packages because we want to continue to build community. So yeah, short and quick.
Alrighty, I'm going to share next. Okay. All right, so this is the Gender Equity Center Instagram page. So here at the top, you can definitely see that we have our link tree there. So if you're looking to get connected other ways, I can show you that in a little bit. However, just kind of like everyone is saying, Instagram is like the main space. I think it's the easiest platform right now to connect with all of our students, to do either passive programming or interactive ones through IG Live, which some of you all are doing. But we have these cute little, highlights, so you can check out some of the things that we do offer, ways to get connected with us. So some of the staples that we're doing, particularly this semester, since we've gone virtual, is we do weekly Gen Ec Recs. It's a cute little title for what Gender Equity Center recommends. And it could be, various mediums. Like it could be a movie, a video clip, a YouTube video, music, podcasts, etc., books. So we would do Gender Equity Center Recs, so Gen Ec Recs. One of the recent ones, our student did a Gen Ec Rec on Lactation Radio. If I pronounce that terribly, I apologize. But we're doing different recommendations on things to listen to, just to expand our knowledge, right? Like sometimes when we think about Gender Equity Center or gender equity issues, sometimes it doesn't come to the forefront of like, what does that mean? What does that look like? And it's so intersectional. And so we want to be able to share what we're learning and be able to share that out with folks in real time. And so that's a passive way to engage with us, is just to see what we're up to, what we're reading. And so we've done many of those over the summer. We've carried it into this semester. So we've definitely done also like recommendations on, Hulu, for example, of like one of the videos that we've watched or shows that we've seen, and definitely engaging with folks that way. Another staple that we're doing this semester is studio hours. And so every first and third Wednesday, studio hours is basically a space for folks to create art, but also dialogue with us. And so each week we'll have a theme and a different guest collaborator. This is something that's very new. So we are right in a learning process, like Sharon was saying, we're learning on how to better create these spaces and connect with our community. Um, and so last couple weeks ago, we did a collaboration with Mosaic, where we created mute their playlist for their Music Mondays. It was definitely very mutual in how it came out. And so that was really exciting. So the next one was going to be October 7th on Wednesday, from 5 to 6. And then instead of calling it office hours, we're calling them Purple Couch Conversations. Some of y'all know that Gen Ec has these really iconic little purple couches in our center where students would sit down, we would connect and have conversations. I've even had conversations with you all on these couches. And so we're inviting people to drop in, chat with us, and just connect, right? And basically office hours without the formality of calling it office hours. We don't want to scare people. And yeah, just kind of connecting with us here is a really great space. And we're doing a lot of collaborative efforts with our, with other departments. And so, oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to share also our link tree. So you can just kind of see what different things we have. So if you wanted to, so this is, if you click on here, you'll get to see all the calendar events for DV month. Getting connected to our other pages. So all of our recommendations are listed here. And these are the direct links to all of the virtual offerings that we have. And so we put the dates and the times just to make sure it's easy. We also have the programming board. So students come in, and if they're looking for an opportunity to create a program, if you want to see an educational workshop happen, if you want to see a guest come to campus and you want to learn, or you're a student org learning to put a program together, this is a good way to learn some of those skills. All right, thank you.
All right, so I'll share my screen as well. So one of the ways, or there's two ways to keep up with all of the events that we have upcoming. One of them is also through our Instagram. However, I know not everybody has Instagram, so we do have our Ojo newsletter, which you can find under our website. There's a little button, click on it, and you can sign up to our Ojo newsletter to get weekly updates on our events as well as our campus partners. One of the events that we have upcoming is our Academic Resilience series, which is a series of workshops facilitated by different professors and faculty members on campus, to help you learn more about organizing skills, related to your academics, especially, in this new virtual setting. And so it's a great space to, ask questions to faculty members, and also meet other students as well. So we have the first one coming up on October 2nd, and then we have some throughout the month of October and November. We do have a collaborative event with the Mosaic Cross-Cultural Center, where we are asking for students to submit loteria art submissions. So creating, original loteria cards. It can be anything that, you would like. And the deadline to submit is Wednesday, September 30th, or also tomorrow. And here's an example of one of the submissions that we got by one of our students, Iliana Trejo, who created an AOC-inspired loteria card. So you have the flexibility of submitting anything that you create. And we do have more upcoming events that we will be posting on our Instagram as time gets closer. But we also have our faculty member office hours. We have quite a few faculty members who do office hours. So if you want to learn more about, what they teach, who they are, you can find them here on our Instagram, as well as all of the advisors who do hours at Centro. And I do acknowledge that there's a lot of links. If you're trying to find a specific advisor or faculty member, so we've added all of those links into our extensive link tree. So you can just, scroll down to select the person you want to meet with and, just meet with them. But yeah, that is it for Chicana Student Success Center, and I will now pass it over to Armani.
All right. Hey, everyone, again. All right, let me Instagram as well. I love this idea. It's so quick. It's so easy. Oh, no. Okay, hold on. I went back to my personal one. I'll just share briefly what we got going instead of just leaving it up to the internet right now. So for the center, we have a ribbon cutting. We don't have a flyer just yet, but we have some information and some news that we would like to share with the community happening on October 15th, I believe at 4 p.m. So look out for the flyer. What else do we have coming up? I kind of think that's it, at least in the planning stage for right now, but I would like to show you our Instagram as well, but if I don't get any feedback in the next couple of seconds, all right, I guess it's not meant to be. So we'll go ahead and move into our next set of questions. So what exactly does social justice work look like in virtual spaces at this point? What are some things that we might have come across in the last couple of months, or have come across either within our spaces or just personally that social justice has had a different nuance while we're all virtual at this point? So Elisa, if you would like to share first, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. I've been having, conversations with students about this. And so, something that I was thinking about is that, no work is either too small or too large for social justice. And that, we can all contribute in, a small form or a large form, whatever that means for ourselves, right? But we can all make a contribution to making it an impact in our community. I think, just from the conversations that I've had with folks, I think we have to be gentle with ourselves given, with COVID-19, virtual learning and, students who are also, working from home, and some are working, out and about. And so, I think we're all, just trying to do our best. And so there's many ways of contributing, whether it's, checking in with folks, or, just having conversations with your friends on, specific issues that are going on right now. And I think, you know, especially for next semester, I've been thinking of more, programs and events that are specific, tied to things that are going on currently. So I definitely think, our spaces are also spaces, virtual spaces that, students can come into, talk to us, talk to our student staff to, have more conversations on, what it is to, contribute to social justice and, our communities.
I can definitely share next. And this is a really great question, just because, right? Like, I think with the entire transition into virtual space, it kind of rocks our world in terms of what we know, right? And what's normal for us. However, social justice work in a virtual space, kind of echoing what Elisa is talking about, is that, we all have our role, whether it's sharing information with our networks, posting it, right, or dialoguing with our own family members on really difficult conversations. Those are the ways in which we're making a difference, however big, however small. We all have a role, right? It could be a healer. It could be building community. It could be sharing resources. It could be whatever it might look like to you. But we definitely all have our place in it. And just not forgetting to self-care in the process. Like Elisa's talking about, that giving ourselves grace, giving ourselves time to also rest. We can't really, right, pour from an empty cup. And with the backdrop of everything happening, it's all impacting us collectively, whether we actively think about it or not. And so taking moments to care for ourselves is important in the process of what social justice work should look like.
I can go next. I think that a lot of what we thought social justice work was, right? Oftentimes in activist circles, right? I think it's been flipped on its head, and almost like it kind of shows the misconceptions that we have about what social justice work needs to be, right? And so a lot of what Elise and Jenny are saying, I feel like totally valid and true, right? Like we need to make sure that we as an individual are taking care of ourselves because that adds to the collective, right? It also means that in a time where information is really not, holding the weight that it used to, right? I think that's led to a lot of how do we do this work? How do we really make sure that the messages, right, and the actual truth of what's impacting different communities, right, outside of what Anna already touched about, like policies change so drastically, and sometimes we don't know what's true and what's real, and is this really going to impact us in real time, or is this down 3 months from now? I think it's led for me personally to really think about the communities that I'm cultivating so that, the information I'm gathering isn't an overload, but I feel a sense of, I can, whatever power I have, I can do something about it, right? Whether that's signing a petition, spreading information about, who to contact as far as supporting the direct community and making sure that it doesn't go to some organization that may really take advantage of the situation. And then I think that, oftentimes the idea of what it means to be an activist itself, right, is kind of flipped on its head right now, right? I think everyone is realizing that in a time where it's so easy to feel like you have no power, that within ourselves we can gather whatever we need to because we are, lack of a better term, we are resilient. And even though you don't need to be resilient every single time, right? Take a nap, like Jenny said. I think that social justice needs to look like nature, right? It needs to look like even through the harshest things that get thrown at you, you throw that seed out, right? And someone else picks it up and something beautiful comes out of it, right? And like nature kind of, we can learn from it. And I think that for me, that's what it looks like right now.
For that. I do want to add on to what everyone is saying because I agree with everyone in here. One of the things that I feel like I've seen since shelter in place, given with everything that has happened, everything from COVID to the wildfires, and on top of that, given the fact that I work with immigrant communities, it's also seeing just the rise of deportations and just the ongoing attacks on immigrant communities. So one of the things that I've really felt very inspired by has been people, stepping up and creating mutual aid programs to provide direct services and direct support, to one another. And I think that's something Sharon touched upon towards the end here. The fact that we are stepping up and we're, supporting each other, because at this point, it just feels like for many of us, our leadership has forgotten about it. And I'm not talking about leadership on campus. I'm thinking, talking about, our state leadership or local leadership and, our national leadership, right? They have really left behind a lot of our communities, especially the undocumented community. So for me, seeing just, other ways that people can also contribute to the social justice movement when they can't, they can't join marches, or they can't do rallies. If you can't donate, you can definitely give up your time, right? Like, for example, one of the things I've seen recently, Dreamers Roadmap. They started this drive, supplies for farmers, school supplies for farmers, and it all came out from someone posting on Instagram, and then from there it just became a bigger thing, and so it's been really great seeing that. And so the other piece I wanted to add on is this misconception that, given that it is election season and that everyone is signing petitions, is that undocumented people can't insert their voice or can't be part of this movement. And so for that, I'd say that it's completely untrue, right? We've seen how many undocumented folks have actually started a lot of movements, whether it's advocacy efforts. We see this with the National TPS Alliance. These are all parents, families riding a bus on a national tour to educate people around TPS. Even just seeing, again, Dreamers Roadmap and the fact that they're gathering communities to do all of this work. And so, yeah, it's just, there's so many ways people can give back and can contribute, whether or not you have the legal right to vote, whether or not you have a degree, right? Again, the TPS Alliance is a great example of how families are coming together and organizing and supporting each other and creating services for one another because they've been forgotten for so long. And so I think this is a really great opportunity for students and just individuals, right, who have for so long felt like there's no answers, but we can certainly create some of those solutions and some of those create some of those answers for ourselves. And so I always challenge students to think beyond just what's out there, because for a lot of us, we had to create something out of nothing. And we had to mobilize and use our own voices, even when it was uncomfortable. So it's been really inspirational just seeing how communities have just supporting one another, and not knowing when this is going to end. We're still keeping up, but taking care of ourselves is a part of the social justice efforts that we also have to incorporate.
It's so interesting how, not necessarily interesting that we're using social media as the main platform to continue to get messages out, but how even self-preservation is very key in this time. So we are not only getting in touch with like what's important for us to share, but also taking care of ourselves so we can be better for the collective. I didn't get to totally develop that thought, but I was just noticing a certain theme and a certain pattern within the things that we were saying. Let's see. Are there any misconceptions anyone would like to briefly touch on? I know Anna started getting into some things, and Elisa as well, but are there any other misconceptions that we feel social or virtual times and social justice have been having a challenge with that intersection as well? If not, it's all good too, but please.
Yeah, I was going to say virtually, I think there's some folks who are really burnt out, right? Because there's just a lot happening. And so another webinar, another panel to go to just feels like a lot. And then there's some folks who this is like really new for them, and they're hungry, right? Or they feel called to the work, or they feel like, new and they want to learn. And, I think that, I think organizations, departments on and off campus, I think that it's helpful for us to like collaborate our efforts a little bit more, so that there's not like 5 panels, right, that are about the similar issues. So maybe that's one thing that I would say, that more like less is more, but sometimes we do need it to be more quality. That's my thought.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. So with all of this, we'll go ahead and wrap up the program by getting just a little more intimate into who we are as people. That's one of my favorite things. With all of these things being said today, thank you. I hope we all find space to take care of ourselves and continue to get our rest, cook, do other things that feel good for us in the process. But as I always usually like to end off the shows with 2 questions from a game called We're Not Really Strangers. So the first question is, how are you really? If anyone would like, if you don't even want to answer, that's okay. But if you're comfortable with answering, I encourage you to. I guess I'll start. I'm okay. I'm not great. I don't even know if it's pinned on me. It's on my screen. It's pinned on Sharon, but hold on. Here we go. Okay, so I'm okay. I'm not great, but I'm currently grappling with the fact that at least back home in Stockton that we're starting to get some smoke in the air again. So I hope that it won't be like that in San Jose when I come back tomorrow, or on vacation. It won't be like this the whole time, but I understand that there's a lot of different things that are happening up in Napa for the glass fires, but I hope that Mother Nature gets to take a break soon. It's a lot, and I know I feel the effects, but trying to just find my way through it. So whoever would like to go next and is inclined to share, feels comfortable, please do.
I can just say I'm doing great. I took a couple of days off, but I'm starting my week today and I feel great. I highly recommend taking at least 2 days, even if you're not going anywhere, but to just sleep in, to, not do anything. So, yeah, I'm doing really good. I don't know how long that'll last, but I'm doing real good.
I'll share. I relate to what Sharon was saying. I wasn't feeling too well like last week, so I took yesterday off and feeling much more re-energized physically. Now I'm doing a lot better. I kind of shared earlier that I was feeling really tired, and so that really helped me kind of re-energize myself. But I'm also I feel like during all of this, I've been really privileged to have really great coworkers. Y'all are just so supportive, and we've had really great conversations, about planting yams and like other things. So I definitely, miss seeing you all in person, and our students too.
Y'all are very, very much missed. I think for me personally, I'm really tired. Everything from work to like just this weekend, I had to move, so my room right now is a hot mess. But I do know I need to take some time to heal too, because since shelter in place, I developed tendonitis and carpal tunnel on both hands. And so like in the last 2 weeks, I've been just trying to, take care of my hands a little bit more. But it's been a lot. And I think for me, like, yeah, like taking some time off is going to be very key. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll, have a couple of days for myself. But it's been a lot. I don't know how else to sum it up. And so yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster.
Thank you for sharing. I feel similar to what you all are saying, just because it changes almost every hour, parts of the day. Some days feel this day, some days I'm not feeling it. I think generally okay, right? Like when you look at the grand scheme of my whole life, I'm okay. Could be better, absolutely, like absolutely. I am also going to be moving in a month, so and I'll be there with you. I think that's going to be tough, and how to navigate that during this time. Um, it's a lot to think about. So sometimes it just changes, but I do want to say that like the second I hopped onto this and just seeing your faces was really refreshing, because we're not able to, and I'm not able to drop in physically into your offices, see you all in passing, see each other in meetings, like real live, like in flesh, like we're breathing the same air and giggling over the same things, you know, like when will we do that again? But it is refreshing to see you all, and you know how precious it is to have such important and really great colleagues and just women, you know, in my life that are doing the work and being very honest and vulnerable, but you know, we're surviving.
Perfect. Thank you. We love honesty. We love transparency. So in our final moments of the show, let's go ahead and get into the last thing. What has been the hardest truth you've had to accept from last September to this September? I know quarantine feels like a lot of time has passed, but also not a lot at all in a weird way. But what's probably been the hardest truth? I think for me, relaxing and like genuinely relaxing has been really hard without something else being on my mind. So I'm kind of just trying to come to a place where I'm relaxing and being totally, totally okay with it. So whoever would like to go first, please do.
I realized that I was mentally not okay. The first few weeks into shelter in place, my like chunks of my hair started falling out. And it, you know, I remember telling you all, like, is this normal? You know, and I know one of the symptoms of COVID is like your hair falling out. So I was like really stressed. But I think it was more so, you know, that you know, I just wasn't mentally okay. My body was physically showing those signs. And so I started therapy, which was like really hard for me. You know, it was one of those the hardest truth, that me realizing that it's finally time. But I'm in that process, and you know, now my hair is thick.
Thanks for sharing, Sharon. You know, what I was gonna share also relates to like, you know, physical ways that your body responds. So I've been dealing with like low iron, and part of it, of like one of the symptoms is fatigue. And you know, I had been feeling like excessively tired, like, you know, I know I like to sleep, but like, you know, not, it was feeling very odd. So that was something that I was dealing with. Like I get random bruisings. I don't know if you can see it, like all over my body, when I didn't really hit myself hard, and like my hair was also falling. So that was just something new to me. So now you know, I'm trying to, you know, eat more iron-based foods and taking care of myself, because like, you know, we all shared it's important for us to take care of ourselves to continue this work. So I'm also, you know, grateful to have a supportive supervisor, Go Lily, you know, who's also, you know, encouraged me to take time off. So
For me, my hardest truth, similar to what folks are saying, is we have to face ourselves, I feel like, a little bit more, right? Like I can't escape myself now more than ever, like with work, you know, with everything else that's going on with life, it felt so busy. But now it's busy in a different way. But, you know, I have to sit with myself and kind of realizing that I have a lot to heal from. So, you know, the whole eating, the sleep, the exercise is part of me mending that for myself. In addition to, you know, what Sharon was saying, is starting therapy, something we did together as a journey, right? Like since COVID, and just healing.
Yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. Yeah, similar with me, I started therapy early shelter in place, and it was after years of not going back to therapy, and that was really helpful, especially when I was dealing with my COVID symptoms for those 3 weeks. But I know that, you know, again, like it hit me again, I need to continue that. It has to be an ongoing pattern. And so the other truth that also hit me, you know, this year is to also listen to my body. And that has been happening because of like, you know, everything that's been going on with my hands. But even, I think it was like that last week I was dealing with COVID symptoms, like even like I was experiencing like some skin condition that I had never experienced before, like really, really dry patches on my skin, my hair falling off, and it was just super scary. And so I knew it had to do because of stress and everything that was going on. And this was around the time that, DACA, we were waiting for the Supreme Court to, give a decision. And so everything that has just been going on around has been like super stressful in that sense. And so, yeah, like listening to my body and taking, time to heal, but also just, making it an effort to continue seeking support, and checking in with someone has been one of like the biggest lessons that I got this year.
Yay. Thank you everyone for sharing. Yeah, coming to terms with ourselves isn't always the easiest thing. Denial is a word for a reason. So I'm glad that we're all finding ways to take care of ourselves in this process. And I'm sure the therapists are thankful too. But yeah, anyhow, let's go ahead and let me share my screen so I can share all of our information with how everyone can get in contact with us. You can see my lovely folks here. There's Jenny. But yeah, please go ahead and get in contact with us. You have access to our emails personally, our link trees, and other information when it comes to our social media as well. So without that, I would like to go ahead and close us out by saying thank you. I appreciate all of you for sharing. It reminds me of just being in the office with all of you again. So yeah, thank you so much for joining the Black Spartan Talk Show. If there are any final remarks from any of you, I welcome them, but otherwise, thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much for inviting us, Armani.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everyone.